28th, 2009, Donna Karpaska from D&D Broadcasting. We have a story from out of Buffalo. For some reason, it wasn't on the mainstream news. It was just on the Buffalo news. This is from yesterday, the 27th. Crash victims honored. Washington, D.C. The House on Thursday passed a resolution honoring the 50 victims of Flight 3407, their friends and relatives, and the emergency response staff involved in the devastating crash. The resolution by Representatives Chris Lee, Republican from Clarence, Brian Higgins from Buffalo, Louise Slaughter from Fairport, also praised hundreds of volunteers who helped families of the victims. It passed 399 to 0. Lee said, "This resolution is not nearly tribute enough to the memories of the victims and the courage of their families. The heroism of our first responders and the kindness of volunteers remind us that even in tough times like these, families and communities come together, rally around each other, and do whatever they can to help those in need."
Okay, so what is it, this story that you're doing in reference to?
They're just honoring they passed a bill to honor the crash victims.
Who is Beverly Eckert?
Beverly Eckert is a 9/11 widow and one of the biggest advocates for reform after 9/11, and she was coincidentally killed on Flight 3407 on February 12th.
Okay, so she was on a flight that crashed. She was on the flight that crashed in Buffalo, New York on the 12th of February 2009. Correct?
That's correct.
And she was a...
Yes.
Okay, so she was a 9/11 widow. And who was her husband? Do you know?
His name is Sean. Sean Kelly, I think.
And he was killed on September 11th, 2001.
He was killed in the World Trade Center.
Right. And I believe he was killed... this is Douglas Bickford, by the way. I believe he was killed when he was on the phone with Beverly Eckert.
Right. It just goes on to say, another one of the representatives says, "We are devastated by loss of cherished lives, grieving for the families and friends of the victims, grateful for the professional actions of our first responders, and inspired by the community response that reminds us why we live in and love this region." So this is how they do it every time.
Who?
The government. We believe they brought the flight down. Okay.
Who believes that?
They make all these stories up. You and me.
Okay. You and I believe that Flight 3407 was sabotaged to kill Beverly Eckert, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There was other people on board who were prominent citizens who were on that flight, but Beverly Eckert probably being the most prominent, and the Rwanda activist. But anyway, what they do is they cover it up with the news stories after, with all the confusion, and then they do stuff like this. They pass a bill in Congress, and everybody will go, "Oh, isn't that nice?" You know, and they'll never look into it. Because they wouldn't think, well, why would Congress pass a bill if the government had something to do with bringing this flight down?
Right.
So everybody's like, "Oh, that's so nice," you know. And you can go to the website. Representative Chris Lee has his website, you know, you can post an item saying how you feel about the crash. So, you know, everybody there is obviously very upset, but nobody's mentioning that this might be a sabotage or whatever. So, this is how they do it, and it'll probably be the end of the story, you know, except that Doug and I will continue to dig.
Now, let me ask you a question. Has the government ever sabotaged planes that you know of to kill people?
Lots of times.
Okay, just give me one for instance that's on the internet.
John F. Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
Coincidentally on autopilot when he crashed.
Okay, do you know of any others?
besides the 4 9/11 ones?
Yes. Mike O'Connell.
I
Mike Connell.
can't think of one right now.
Mike Connell.
Oh, Mike Connell.
Okay,
Yes.
December.
Exactly.
December. I'm not even sure exactly when the day was. I think it was the 19th of December 2008, right? Mike Connell's plane, a little private plane, he was a pilot, crashed, either taking off or landing or whatever, and killed him. It then come to find out that Karl Rove had threatened to kill him numerous occasions. Karl Rove, okay? And Mike Connell was a guru IT person. He was exposing the 2004 election that Bush and Rove and Cheney and all those murderers rigged. Mike Connell was the one exposing them. And he appeared before a federal judge November 3rd, 2008, and exposed the Bush fraud, the Karl Rove fraud from 2004, because he was helping. He knew what happened with the election, the electronic voting machines in 2004. So he knew, he had information that Bush, Rove, and all them, like I said, rigged the 2004 election. Now, coincidentally, and I don't believe there's anything such thing as coincidence, Mike Connell's plane crashes December 19th before the ball could get rolling against Rove, Bush, and all them for rigging the 2004 election. It's unbelievable. And now there's about I don't know how many there are on the internet. You can Google search sabotage by the U.S. government to kill people. That isn't the Flight 3407 isn't the first. Flight Mike O'Connell's plane isn't the first. There's lots of times it's suspicious circumstances. Seems like coincidence.
There's another one I forgot about, 2002, Paul Wellstone.
Yeah, Paul Wellstone, exactly. And he's another one that got killed because of what he knew or whatever. And of course, the internet talks about it, but the mainstream media doesn't, okay? And so, here we are again, the Congress doing it to us again, like Donna just read you. Now they're coming out with a bill to honor the victims of Flight 3407, when the bastards in Congress, all of them, know that our government, the CIA, however they did it, sabotaged that plane to kill Beverly Eckert, because she was en route to Chicago to meet with Patrick Fitzgerald with DNA evidence that the so-called hijackers were still alive, with proof that our government did a controlled demolition to 3 buildings on September 11, 2001. World Trade Center 1, 2, and 7. Okay? Anyway, that's why she was killed. That's what we believe. Now, you don't have to believe it, but it doesn't matter, because we're going to keep exposing this. That's what Donna and I are all about. Okay, you got anything else left to say, Donna? You got?
Yeah, I'd just like to say,
20 seconds.
You know, I feel really bad about all the people that died, and of course we honor them, but don't be fooled by the stuff that the government does to try and make you just forget about it and move on. That's what they did on 9/11. That's why nobody's looking into it. They just say, "Oh, it was a horrible thing. Let's move on." That's what they want you to do. So please just pay attention. Follow the story through to the end till we find out the real reason the plane crashed.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We will have more truth for you later from D&D Broadcasting. Have a great spirit-filled